Welcome back students to the next video. Till here we have completed the object and I have given you a hint that how you will show the base and the shadow. Now I have told you that in our next class we are going to shade. Behind means the curtains. First of all, we have to understand the pattern of clothes. So accordingly we will shade on that. Some of the part of clothes are very light and some of them are very dark. I have told you the concept of shading earlier. Accordingly you will do it. Now we will pay attention towards the plates first. These shapes I have created on your curtains, and you will also find these kinds of shapes. They will used to show darkness. So for that you will use 6B first, and after that you will shade with 12B. So this is 6B. First you will shade with this pencil, and after that you will use 12B. You just have to darken these spaces. You don't need to think much about it. Like this. You can slant your pencil like this. It will be much easier for you to fill the gap evenly. Keep a constant force on the paper so that it will create an equal blackness. After this, what you have to do is just to rub it with the piece of cotton. Very carefully, or otherwise you can use earbud. Similarly, you will darken this similar space with the shade pencil of 6B. Like this. In the same way you will rub it with the cotton. Next turn is of 12B. So with this pencil what you have to do is just to give a little bit shade on the edge. Like this. For this you don't need to slant your pencil. I have taken the pencil which is not too sharp like this, so you should keep in mind when you start shading with the pencil, it should not be too sharp. Again, you just have to rub it. Now one by one you will have to take or treat your pleat. Remember the pattern of a cloth. I am using again 6B. This is your cloth's first pleat. So it is turned cloth, piece of cloth which is turned. So here we will find shading. For this, what we have to do is to just create a pattern, just create some strokes so that you will understand that from where you have to shade. We will try to fill the gap little bit, but a little gap should be there to create a pattern of a cloth. I am not taking all the strokes equally. Some are a little bit bigger, some are too small, like this. So when you have selected this part for shading, what you have to do is the another part will be shown as a tint part, and for your convenience I am doing it like this. You too can do it according to your hand. It will create a texture of a cloth or fabric. Checks should be there to create an illusion of threads, woven threads, like you have already find in clothes. So it will create an illusion that it is the shade according to the fabric or the threads of fabric. So here also you can see that as the shade gets darker, the density is becoming higher. As you will go towards the tint, the density of threads will get lower. Similarly, just the opposite of this, you will have to show tint, and to the other side what you will have to do is just to keep your strokes according to the shape of the curtain, because these lines you have to merge completely, so your strokes should be lighter. Like this. Here you will not show pattern of thread. Okay, now what you have to do is just keep a cotton with you and rub it. You can rub here little bit harder so that the strokes can be removed. The individual stroke should not be seen. This you have to keep in mind. Again, you have to rub a little bit the thread part, the pattern of thread you have created here. This too you have to make it little bit blur. This gap you can see, you just have to fill it like this. Remember that if you are confused about shading, that in curtain where you have to shade and where you have to leave it for tint, just create it in your imagination, and accordingly you will have to start doing your work. Now here we have the another pleat has shown. Here what you have to do is just to create shading from both the sides. Okay, so what we are doing is again just creating a pattern of threads, but here we are taking shorter strokes because from both the sides we have to shade, and we will show tint from the middle side. By creating a pattern of fabric, you will carry on with this. Now here on the other side too you have to do the same. Like this. As you can see that I am not using pencil forcefully. I am using strokes with the light hand. Although it is 6B, but it is not creating a darkness like 6B. And the strokes are a little bit round to show that it is upward, the pleat is upward. Again, what you have to do is just to spread the strokes like this. Okay, now come to the next part. Here what I am going to do is just to shade from here, and I will leave tint here. In the curtains we don't need to focus on from where the light is coming. We will just have to assume that light is coming from the center, and accordingly we have to shade it. And these are the pleats. That's why we have to imagine according to us that from where we have to fold the particular pleat, and from where we have to show it upward. So where we have to show it upward, we will leave a tint, and where we have to show a cloth which is little bit just behind the another pleat or something else, we have to shade on that. So what I'm going to do is just to leave a tint on that side, and I will shade the next side. So as I'm doing my shading on only one side, so I can take a little bit longer strokes because I have a space on them on the pleat. The strokes of shading should have space. If we won't leave a space, the pattern of check will not occur, and we won't understand the pattern of cloth. Again, remember the density. Where the shading starts, the density should be hard or high. Again, you will have to use cotton. Now our next part, we will take our next part, and on that part I will try to do shading on both the sides like this. So as you can see, it is little bit thin, so I will use my strokes accordingly. Or I can take it as the shade is here, so I can give shading here also. So I think I have to select one part only for shading because it is too thin, and it can create good effect if I will use this part for shading. This you can decide according to your wish. Whatever you find will look good, you can apply it on that. Now I will rub the extra lines, and again the same thing. Once you will come to know about the pattern or you will practice, you can do it very quickly. It won't take much time to complete it. What you have to do is just to think priorly that for where you have to shade and where you should not. You will have to give a touch of tint. Once you have decided it, you will do it quickly. Okay, again the same thing. You will have to use your cotton or earbud, whatever is available with you. Now here too, what I will do is just what I did with this. Okay, so here I am giving a little bit darkness here. Can you see I am giving stroke at once? Like this you have to do. Keep your pencil little bit slanted. There is no problem if the strokes are going beyond the line. Later on you can erase them. But the strokes should be constant. There should not be a break on them. Now what you have to do is just to erase the strokes which goes beyond the line of your horizon. The next part is just to make them softer or blur, because these lines will create a little bit harshness. To avoid this, we will have to use cotton. Now this is the prior stage of our shading, and I'll tell you the next step of shading on curtains in our next class. Practice it very well. Just make curtain, no need to make the object in front of it. If you are confused with it, you can practice it or make 2 or 3 type of curtains. Then you will definitely know about the pattern, that where you will use tint, where you will use shade. A primary thing which I want to tell you is that remember that where you are using, these are the plates I told you, and you have seen, you can see here I have used shading, so here I have used tint. Now repeatingly what I did, shading just before, just after tint. Okay, before and after the tint. Now here we have shown tint, here we have shown shading. In between I have used tint here. Now it is shading. This is the darker part, that's why I have used tint here, and then shading. Okay, here just they are just going, on the left, on the right side. So this is the middle part. So I have chosen what I have chosen, because I have done shading here, I have chosen tint, then shading, tint, shading, tint, and shading. This is the pattern. So by following it, you can create a good illusion or good 3D effect of curtain. Okay, see you in the next class.